So I just saw the entire episode of One Piece live action series, which is based off this manga and anime series of the same name. So we get to see the Straw Hats as well as the characters as their live action counterparts. So here is the review of all 8 episodes right now, and here we go. So the episode begins with Roger getting ready to be executed, which the narrator actually say how the pirates are roaming the seas, and which they are actually knew how he will be executed by Garp, which we see other people watch. But one of the crowd have actually say where he hid the treasure, the One Piece. He actually told them that they can find it where it's in the Grand Line. So now everyone is actually headed towards the Grand Line so they can find the One Piece where we knew that the treasure is there. So we headed back to the present where the main character Luffy, who's played by Inaki Goldori, who actually going to find the One Piece, which he needs a crew, which 10 people. Thus, he actually headed towards the Grand Line where the mail carrier bird is there. So, we knew how Alfina have actually destroyed a ship where Luffy has sleep in a barrel. So we see how we knew everyone is actually gonna see him waking up. Elsewhere, we saw Zoro, who was played by Makiru, who's played Seiya in the live-action movie Knights of the Zodiac, who fought with Mr. Seven of the Organization for World Works, where we see how he battles him after the offer, after he kills him, which of course he is actually shown how he kills him, which is all in the live action, in which back to the ship where Kobe, the cabin boy who's wanted to become a Marine, who's played by Morgan Davies, and he actually met Luffy where he actually say that he's going to the Grand Line. But we see how Luffy battles Alfina where they actually confronting him where they all fight, who revealed his Gum Fruit powers, in which we see the young Luffy actually met his hero Shanks by giving a scar on the left side of his face, and we see Nami, who's played by Emily Rue, who actually saw a pirate ship where she stole their ship and their treasure, where we see in the island where Luffy and Kobe, after escaping Alfina's ship, they actually fought fought in a bar fight after Zoro actually confronting El Nepo, the son of the marine pirate X-Han Morgan, in which we knew how he's been strung up for 7 days for attacking a marine pirate, where we knew how he was strung up. So he's actually was there after defending Rika, but Luffy asked Zoro to join his crew, which he refused. So now we see him free him, and they're actually getting the map. He's getting the map, but Nami snuck in wearing the disguise and actually met Luffy, where we knew how they are met with Axe and Morgan after they saw a vault. Thus, we knew how they actually escaped and had to fight their way out of the island, where Zoro have actually battled the Marines as well, and Luffy defeated Axe-Head Morgan, where Nepo actually appeared with a haircut that matched the character, and Kobe hits him. So now he actually stayed in the island, to become a Marine, where we see Garp, who's played by Vincent Reagan, who actually heard about the pirate wearing the straw hat, and we saw Buggy the Clown makes his appearance after he was told by Kabuchi that the map was stolen. So now they're actually getting ready to find the One Piece, where we knew that they're actually going to get it. So we see how the episode plays out, where Luffy, Zoro, and Nami and their live-action counterparts are actually incredible. Thus, the scene does match the anime and manga series, manga chapters and episodes, where we knew how they are incredible. So I cannot wait to see what episode 2 reveals. So the episode showed young Luffy try to use his powers, but Makino actually knew that he shouldn't do it in her bar because without practice, because the devil fruit gives the user the abilities but can't actually swim, which now we see Shanks getting ready to leave, knowing how he didn't tell him the truth about the sea. But in the present day, we see Luffy, Zoro, and Nami about to open the vault where it contains the map of the Grand Line. That which we knew that we're going to see what's going to happen next, because they've actually been captured, knowing how Luffy kept the map safe, which he has swallowed it, and he actually have taken to the carnival where Buggy the Clown have actually confronting them, knowing how Luffy making fun of his nose, and he have actually knew that Luffy was not insulting him in that way, but they have been kept into separate rooms where Zoro been restrained to a target and Navi is in a cage while Luffy been stretched out, but it doesn't hurt knowing how they are actually going to escape. Meanwhile, back in Shell Town, we see Kofi dressed up in a marine outfit with Helmeppo as Garp is meeting with Morgan. We see how he's confronting him about the pirate, but knowing how they actually knew that he was kept prisoner at Alfina's ship, we knew that he wanted to become a marine, but Zoro was confronted by Kabuji, who actually knew that he killed his brother, but they've actually escaped and confronting Buggy, who kept Luffy in a water tank. But back into the past, we see how the same bandits who actually criticized Shanks get ready to attack Luffy, but Shanks appeared saying that it doesn't matter if he was drenched in alcohol, but he won't let no one threaten his friends, so his crew decided to fight his men, where Luffy is about to dump into the sea. But in the present, we see Buggy reveal his overpowers. The Chop Chop fruit allows him to remove any body parts, where he is actually battling them. Thus, we see Luffy broke free and now battling Buggy, but they actually have all of his body parts, only his head, hands, and feet, in which Luffy using his bazooka attack to send him flying, which we see Luffy told Shanks that he'll become a greater pirate than he was, where he will become the greatest pirate, which he gave him his straw hat as a promise to become a greater pirate and return it to him when he actually leaves. Thus, he freed the audience, who are Buggy's hostages, as they actually leave. But the episode ends with Nami calling someone on the transponder snail, which we knew who she's calling. So we knew how Buggy the Clown looks like in the live action, which he's really great. And knowing how Garb taking Helmeppo and Kovi with him to the Grand Line, we knew something was actually happening. So I'm actually cannot wait to see what episode 3 is going to show us when the crew meeting Usopp. Now the third episode shows the young Usopp 7 years ago in Syrup Island, where he kept ringing the bell knowing that pirates are coming, which caused a panic. As years go by, as the Usopp grew up as a pirate of Luffy age, and he's played by Jacob Romeo Gibson, which he actually keeps telling about pirates are coming, but no one won't believe him this time because he kept making up stories. So now people stop believing him because he's a liar, which that's his description of what he is. So the episode show how Luffy created the Jolly Roger before Usopp officially created it, which of course, knowing how they've actually saw how the ship is have a leak. So they now going to find a proper ship on the island where we see Luffy found the Going Merry, which he also met Usopp, where they're actually getting ready to get the ship, but he said that he didn't own it. It was actually a ship owned by Kaya, his friend, who actually showed him where he lived, but they were confronted by the butlers, and of course they are actually getting ready to escort him out. But Kaya arrived with Caldor, where they're actually getting ready to have dinner, which they're properly dressed. Meanwhile, Buggy actually pulled himself back together, no pun intended, but he was confronted by a fishman, which we see in the live action, appeared as he was told by his captain Arlong as he arrived as the live action, which he's actually told by Buggy that Luffy took everything. So now they're actually having dinner with Kaya, where Luffy had told them about being pirates after they realized that Kaya is sick, which Usopp told him about his life story and all the adventures that he told to Kaya, which he actually told him about his father Yatsop, who Luffy remembers him, which we see Mary, which the ship is named after, confronting Commodore, but he actually didn't want to hear about the shipbuilding projects, which he doesn't like, so he stabbed him, knowing how Usopp, Zoro, and Luffy saw what happened, which he reveals to be Koro, who was killed by accident Morgan, but his butlers turned out to be his henchmen, knocked him out, and disposed into the well, in which Usopp tries to tell everyone that pirates are still here, but this time there are, and no one actually believes him, thinking that he's still lying. But we see his backstory of his mother being sick, told him not to tell lies, which his father would come back. But she died succumbing of her illness, which we see how she is the reason how he became a liar. And now Kobe say that he believes him after a game against Garb, so we knew this could be trouble for Usopp. Now I really love how Usopp appeared in the live action, even without his long nose, but that's cool, in which the fishman actually arrived. So we see how this is actually awesome. So I cannot wait to see what episode 4 is going to show what's going to happen next. So the fourth episode show Usopp with Kobe and Helmeppo, where they're actually taken to Kaya's mansion, where Kuro, as Commodore, actually is waiting for them to take Luffy, who's mistaken as a pirate, but it's all a lie because we knew that it's his job to take the pirates in. Meanwhile, we see how Zoro is still in the well with Mary's body, knowing how he's going to escape, which Usopp has to warn Kaya about the pirates are on their way. But she believes her stories, but not this time because now we see how Nami has told her the truth when they're about to poison her. So we can tell what they had to do now, which we see Zoro climbing up to the top of the well while we look at his backstory of him battling his childhood friend, Korina, who would later reveal that they're a distant cousin due to bloodlines, in which we see her telling him that he always loses to her, even though we knew how they'll fight again with real swords. And this time he lost. But she tells him that he actually will grow up knowing that a woman will never beat a man, but we see how they made a promise that one of them will become the strongest swordsman or swordswoman in the world. But we see how his sensei have told him that she's died, so he asked him to let him borrow the Wano Ichimonji to fulfill the promise. So they actually saw how he knocked out Helmeppo after Luffy woken up, where he's going with Zoro to save Kaya, knowing how Kobe did actually let them leave. So they're actually trying to escape while they realize how Koro is actually going to kill him while Luffy arrives as Zoro battle and defeat his henchmen, and Luffy have defeated Koro with his Gum Gum Bell. So now they decide to take the ship, which is in Mary's design. So they name it the Going Mary, in which Usopp, knowing how he wanted to go, but he have actually realized that she'll be alright. So they decided to leave with Usopp and the Going Mary, which they've actually realized that the Marines are on their way to arrest them after a comedic moment where Usopp draws the flag in his own design. So I'm actually loving how they've saved Kaya, knowing how Usopp telling the truth this time, which the people starting to feel bad for him. So now we're actually going to see what's going to happen on the fifth episode, hopefully, where Sanji is actually will be introduced. So the fifth episode showed the crew getting ready to escape Garp, knowing how they are actually trying to flee or try to fight back. So Luffy has decided to expand his body like a balloon, which of course, knowing how Garp throwing the cannonballs like they're actually baseballs, in which they retreated. So they went into the fog, knowing how they smell food. So they went to the sea restaurant Grantier, knowing how they're going to find a cook, which we see Sanji, who is betrayed by Taz Skylar as he prepared a dish where Seth, who actually doesn't like the dish, knowing how he actually have disliked what he has done. So he's going to raid tables, which he have actually didn't like it. So he actually went out to buzz tables where the crew have gotten their own tables to get some food, where the crew saw Sanji kick Iron Fist Full Body and a pirate, knowing how he uses his leg skills, but we see how they gotten some food, knowing how Seth doesn't like when people try to run, so he made Luffy work as a chore boy to pay off the debt. So Garp has had to draw out some help, and by help, we see him calling one of the seven warlords of the sea, Mihawk, which he calls by his signature eyes, Hawkeye, in which we see how he's fighting Kree as he kills him, by which we see how he is going to be ordered to capture Luffy, which Sanji knew how he doesn't want to work at the restaurant, but he is going to looking for the all blue, which we see how he saw that there's a variety of delicious fish from the east, west, north, and south blue, way which we knew that he's actually might do that, but he's actually saving someone who is hungry, but Patty doesn't think so, knowing how he served him no matter if they're a customer or not. But Hawkeye actually trying to find where Luffy is, but Zoro knew who he is, so he actually going to challenge him, because in the anime and the manga series, he's actually after him for his title as the greatest swordsman in the world. So tomorrow morning, we see how they're going to fight after Nami have actually told him of whether he lose. So he actually battles Hawkeye, knowing how he has to battle him with his small knife, in which he's actually overpowering him and stabbing him on the right side of his torso, but he didn't go down. So he's using his strongest sword in the world. So now we see how he defeated him, by which he told him that scars on the back are a swordsman's greatest shame, which I don't think is true. But we see how he slashes him, knowing how he won't capture Luffy again. Won't capture Luffy, so he decided to leave. So Zoro had decided to told him they vow to never lose again after he passes out after too much blood loss, so we knew that he will keep his promise. So we see Sanji appear in the live action, which he's a good looking guy, as well as Full Body and Hawkeye, as well as Kree, as they appear in the fifth episode, so we knew how things could actually play out. So we're going to see what's going to happen on the sixth episode, where there's only 3 episodes left of the live action series. So we see the others try to save Zoro, who lost a lot of blood due to his battle with Hawkeye. We knew how Seth and Sanji tried to prepare brunch, but they decided to help Zoro instead by using thread and fish skin to actually help with the bleeding. So we knew that it's only an injury that almost can kill him. So Seth suggested that they tell stories to actually help him stay alive, by which we knew how they prepare. I mean, they actually go get food from Sanji, who told him how Seth saved his life, which 9 years ago, that he actually was working on the ship where he was a pirate known as the Redfoot Seth, knowing how he have actually fight with many pirates, but he tried out his cooking and using oregano, so we knew how they are actually going to sink, knowing how they were stranded into a rock island, knowing how they've actually getting ready to find a ship which there's food that will last them for days. So as the days go by, we knew how young Sanji trying to find a ship, but no one will come to their rescue. So now we see how they're actually trying to get food from Seth's bag, but it was actually full of treasures. And he actually showed his leg that he's eating it because he's actually trying to save Sanji's life. But we knew how he was grateful for rescuing his life. Elsewhere, we see Arlong and his crew actually arrive at the Brontier, where we knew that they were going to get some food. Elsewhere, we see how Nami told the story about the City of Gold, which of course related to the Sky Island arc. Hopefully, we knew how he was, which Luffy is being blamed by Nami for not saving Zoro's life. But Arlong, who actually waiting for Luffy, who actually knew that he actually looking for him because of Buggy. So now they're actually battle the crew, but we knew how everyone else saw Nami is the member of the Arlong Pirates, as she gave Arlong the map of the Grand Line, where they actually leave after throwing Luffy into the sea, where they actually leave. But Sanji saved him, which we knew how they're actually going to bring Nami back, by which we see Luffy telling Zoro to wake up, knowing of he won't do it alone. But he did wake up, saying that he'll follow him to the end of his life, knowing how they are going to where Nami is. But Sanji decided to join the crew after an argument with Seth. So, Seth actually told him to take care of himself, and Sanji thanks him for his generosity. So now we see how he is going to go where Nami is with Buggy as their guide. Now, the episode did show how Sanji and Seth meet where they're stranded in the island. So now, with Buggy's head, they're actually going to go where Nami is at. So we're going to see what's going to happen on the 7th episode, with 2 episodes left of the series. So the 7th episode show us how Buggy showing the Straw Hats where Nobby's village is, where we knew how they are headed towards Kokoyashi village, where we knew how they're going to confront her. But we see how they're actually realize how Nami is actually working with the Harlem Pirates, but we knew how she'd taken everything from the villagers when Jinso, the sheriff, who actually told Nami not to do this, but she doesn't want to hear it, which Luffy wanted to know what Nami was doing, knowing how she didn't care. But we can tell how they wanted answers, so they are actually asking Jinso, but he tells them that the only way to get answers is from the village on the mountain. I mean, the house on the end of the Tangerine Grove, where they meet up with her adopted sister Nochiko, who actually told them about what's happened, where we knew how they are actually told that they were actually rescued by their mom, who's the Marine Bellamy, who actually saved their lives. But we knew how Arlong arrived after Nami and Mexico have an argument about family. But we knew that it doesn't matter if they're blood or not. So they actually came for tribute, but Nausicaa and Nami are hiding because we knew how Bellamy doesn't have enough for them. So we see how they actually were shielded by her after she told them that she loved them, but Arlong shot her dead, in which the corrupt Marine Nusumi taking all the money from Arlong after she have 100 million berries because of how Arlong told him where it is. feeling betrayed, we see her stab her arm tattoo when Luffy stopped her, but we can tell how she wanted his help. So now we're going to see what's going to happen with the fight between Arlong and Luffy. So right now we see how the battle is going to happen when we see Nosuko Jinso in live action, meaning how the Marines have actually met up with the others in the Brontier after getting confirmation of where Luffy is at. So we're going to see what's going to happen on the final episode of the series. So on the final episode, we see how young Nami actually got a tattoo of Arlong's symbol, where we knew how the villagers evacuate, but we see how they're going to fight Arlong and his men, but it's going to be a massacre if they did. So Luffy decided to fight in their place, knowing how they are going to confronting him. So they battle the fisherman, knowing how Kobochi and Chu are going to fight the others, which we see Cho using bullets on Usopp, but he actually using lead to break the alcohol bottle and cause it to catch on fire with his exploding star. Then we see Kobochi actually battling Zoro and Sanji, which usually Zoro battling Hachi, but this time is a 2-on-1, but his fishman karate have, uh, had them beat. But Sanji using his shoot style to defeating him single-handedly. So now they made it toward the map room where they found the Grand Line map. So Luffy battled him, telling Arlong that Nami is not a person that she can take advantage of, which we see how they are battling out when Luffy destroyed the map room and defeating Arlong with his battle axe, and he emerged from the revel after the park destroyed. We see Luffy told Nami that she'll always be his friend, in which everyone celebrated, but Garp is going to arrest Luffy, but Kobe and Helmeppo actually stood by to stop him. So we knew how he will allow Garp to do so. So he battles him and overpowers his own grandson. So at the end of the celebration, Kofi told Luffy that he has a bounty of 30 million berries. So now everyone around the world is actually excited to hear, including Shanks, who saw Luffy's wanted poster and he became a pirate. So now the Straw Hats are headed towards the Grand Line where they made their vows of what they want to become. So that means that they are going to the Grand Line. But at the end of the episode, we see Smoker making his rough appearance as he burns the picture of Luffy wanted poster with his cigars. So we knew how they defeated Arlong without Hachi, and we knew how Nesumi got his revenge. I mean, got what he deserved for what happened. So now they're going to the Grand Line with Smoker make a brief appearance. So it actually is incredible to say the least. Now I really enjoy the live action series of One Piece that based off the anime and manga series, and it actually is incredible. And I really hope it gets a second season and not get canceled like in Cowboy Bebop. So I cannot wait to hear what you guys like the live action series. So anyway, like this video, subscribe for more, and comment what you think about the live action series. You guys can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and my Facebook page and Twitch. Until then, this is Anime God Running here saying signing out. Laters and be safe.